Hey guys, how are we doing? Crypto Insight UK here, bringing you back another video. So again, it seems like there's a lot to talk about today. I'm just going to try and breeze over a few things. Obviously, the war with Israel and Iran, a potential escalation with the US getting involved, China potentially, and Russia could be on the cards. I have been saying that I think that there's going to be some sort of narrative that flushes the charts to the areas that we've been talking about for the last few weeks, and we're going to get into that in a minute. Another thing that to keep on your radar for today is the Fed. The Fed have got a meeting this evening. They're going to announce whether there's going to be cuts, and then we're going to FOMC. So let's see what the outcome of that is. It's 98% chance that we don't cut today, but I'm not saying that I think we will, because I don't think we will cut today, but I think the verbiage will probably change. I think that the Fed are going to have to play a political game, and will have been in discussion whether people think that Trump and Powell talk or not. I think with the war and stuff, there's probably going to have been some coordination one way or another for the markets and sentiment generally while this is going on. And I don't know what the outcome of that is either way. I'm just saying it's something to watch. The other thing that I said this morning is don't let this price action get you down. I hope you're not getting down by it. As I keep saying, I think we've still got a little bit to go, and I'm going to show you a few things that I've been looking at today and yesterday. But I think it's an opportunity, not time to throw in the towel. We saw yesterday the Genius Bill was passed by the Senate, and it goes on to the House now. The macro landscape is massively positive for crypto. Yesterday also, for example, Thailand said there's no capital gains on crypto for 5 years. I think that we're going to see that sort of thing play out across multiple jurisdictions and locations around the world. Financial institutions are investing massively into crypto, both through offering products like ETFs, buying ETFs, adding crypto to their balance sheets like MicroStrategy, Metaplanet, etc., and other companies doing similar things like Vivo Power, for example, for XRP holders. And they're also building their own financial products in the Web3 space, whatever that might be, DeFi, lending, borrowing sort of platforms, their own crypto desks, OTC desks, all this sort of stuff. So this isn't how a run normally ends. We don't end in negativity like this. It ends in euphoria. This is a shakeout, in my opinion, before the most exciting time. This is where you should basically be looking to add the finishing touches to your bags. We've had months where we were low, and I was saying buy alts. I think that even if your alts are down right now from the period that we were buying in January, February, March, the upside is going to be massive, in my opinion, if you've been buying the right alts. And when I say massive, I'm talking from these levels, we probably across most of the alts that we've been talking about see at least 500% upside, and potentially more for others, up to 1,000%, maybe even higher than that. So that's a 5 to 10x, and I think that there's probably potential to go even higher than that on some altcoins if we pick the right ones. But I think the majority of the ones that we've talked about will do at least a 5 to 10 from here. So I've still got a tiny bit of cash, as I've spoke to you guys about. I've still not allocated it. I will be at some point very soon. Good time to be buying, really. And then I said, just remember the game you're playing. We've now got the likes of BlackRock and people like that in the space. They're master manipulators, master market manipulators in the legacy financial world, and now they're coming in and they can manipulate the crypto space even more easily because the market cap's lower, and they're getting themselves involved. So instead of looking at this I can't take it anymore, I think Bitcoin price action comes somewhere in this box, which is 92k to 100k. I think realistically it's 95 to 97 is where I guess the bottom comes in. What you can think is this instead. This is where the somewhere in here box I've just shown you is. This is probably the start of alt season. We significantly break the next all-time high, and then we probably have one more correction between 115k and 180k ish, and then we see the parabolic. This will be pretty aggressive move to the upside, I would guess, and then we see the blow off top up towards wherever it might be, 180k plus. So that's what it looks like for Bitcoin, and significantly outperform in percentage terms for alts. In the meantime, This is Bitcoin dominance on the daily. I think we could get a squeeze up higher as we get this flush for crypto generally. I think that Bitcoin probably outperforms on the pullback, meaning that like alts probably pull back a little bit further percentage wise. We've been discussing this. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone. This takes Bitcoin into this previous start of alt season box. And we've broken through, I'll show you this, we've broken through all the Fibonacci retracement levels. We're having multiple daily closes above the last retracement level. We should probably go to set on new all-time highs now. We could come up as like the 67, sort of 67.5%. It could happen really quickly though. It could just be a wick, boom, wick, and down we go, which is what makes some sense. Or it could just grind up. But alts can also perform well while Bitcoin dominance pushes up. So what we could see is we wick up or we push up hard, and then Bitcoin just says, okay, cool, I'll show you this in terms of what it will look like in structure. This is Bitcoin, it's 105K. We could have a flush. I'm not saying we definitely have this, but this is a scenario. We could have this flush down for Bitcoin. Alts flush harder in this period, and then Bitcoin starts to grind up and starts to really go off and starts to head to all-time highs aggressively. And alts do come along, but just not as fast. Alts could go, this could be alts, like in terms of representative. What happens next if we see a Bitcoin dominance push like that. So that's the sort of structure I'll be looking at for Bitcoin. Obviously, it won't be straight lines. It's never straight lines. We have corrected periods in there. Could go like this, for example, like you're coming down, you touch that, you make your lower low with a higher low on the RSI, then we go like something like that. But yeah, that's ish the sort of structure that I'm looking at. And I'll show you why for Bitcoin, for example, first, and then we'll look at XRP, but my computer's frozen. Great. Give me 1 second, and we'll look at Bitcoin, if it's going to let me. Yep, cool. Bitcoin on the hourly, nothing's really changed. We'll get some more liquidity above us, but not significant amounts. More people have been coming in short since this recent high here. I think we come into this area, takes either all the way down to 93, or we could bounce at 100, depending on how bullish we are, and then we head up to here. So that's only from this position for Bitcoin, like just at the 100k sort of level is 5%, and all the way down to 90, even to 93, 92k. I don't think we'll go much lower than that. That's 11%. Whereas if we look at XRP, and we're going to look at ETH as well, just because they're the large cap altcoins that I want to just stay focused on, is like XRP from where we are now to sweep the lows. The main areas of liquidity, it's 10% to like 192. And as I said, like this can squeeze us a little bit further. So we could go to like 185-ish, could maybe come a little bit lower than that. Which would be about 15% to 183. Let me show you on the 4 hourly what I'm seeing as well. PC's being a bit slow, so I hope this is working for you guys. Cool. Yeah, look, on the 4 hour, look, we have liquidity all the way down to like 170s, which is possible. We could just triple tap in this area. There's a lot of liquidity in here. I think it's probably quite likely we get that 186 sort of level if we do get this flush. It could come as low as 170. It's possible. I know people won't want to hear that, but these lows, we've got a lot of lows in this area which have been met with like high buy volume when they happen. There's one like specifically here at 176 that will complete almost an inverse head and shoulders. If we did complete that, something that I've been showing you guys over there, I'll show you here. So I've been showing you this for a little while. Oh goodness. I've been showing you this for a little while. Look, that's 188 on this chart, or here, here it's 171. Could be completing an inverse head and shoulders if we get those pullbacks into those areas. My sort of targets are about 180s-ish, like high 180s, but we could come lower, as I've just shown you with liquidity here. The main areas of liquidity on the 4 hours about 188, and so that's where I'm thinking that we probably see. But then above us, look, what we can see is a significant move to the upside. After this, we'll see we've got red liquidity building above us, and more keeps coming in, and that will, as this liquidity below gets taken, this will change color, as that's where the most of the liquidity will then be, and then we should see more of an aggressive move back to the upside. Now looking at ETH, similarly, ETH, this is on the daily, most of ETH's liquidity is right up all-time highs at 4,200, which is obviously a double from here at least. But if we go down to the hourly, I'll show you the liquidity on the hourly. It's down here. It's about 2,200, and that from here is percentage move about 10-11%. So that's what I think is coming. I think it makes most sense for Bitcoin to probably move down to like the 100k, maybe slightly below, which would be, I think Bitcoin probably comes down like 5 to 7 to 8%, and alts probably do 10 to 12 to 15. That's what I think. If we get the flush, and that's a big if. So you're basically gambling on 10, 12 to 15 if you're not buying here. That's the only extra gain that you're going to get. And probably bigger across like some smaller cap alts, of course. But then if we just go onto Velo and just look on the hourly, some things that I've been seeing are that during this pullback here, like what we've seen in the last few hours basically is funding is now positive. So people probably more long than short in this area. Not really much in terms of price action, especially on XRP. Open interest ticked up. Price basically went sideways and funding was positive. So probably more people are getting in longs here. And I do think they probably get squeezed out. And the thing is, as what I've been saying, and this is the most important thing to remember, if we get one significant push down, there's a lot of liquidity that gets taken, like pretty much, well, it's pretty much from here, all this. If we get a push down below, for example, the levels we're at now, we probably pull into this area 110, 111. We pull back below 110, we probably get flushed down here. If we get flushed down from 208, we get flushed down to this key level here. And then if we get flushed down from this key level, that's when the most liquidity will be built up from here. That's what I've been showing you on the trading different charts as well. And that probably continues to flush down. And that's how we get into those like 180 sort of areas, and like this sort of area here, 189. That's where I'd be looking, somewhere around there, I think, for a reversal. So it's not negative, it's just obvious. Like, it's obvious in terms of TA, if we can get the catalyst that flushes the leverage out and then cascades them stop losses down, that's the most likely area for the stop losses to start to like bleed out. Like people's leverage will be flushed out in those positions. And that's where exchanges want us to go, at least, because that's where they make all their money. So I feel like I've just been saying the same thing over and over the last few days. I haven't looked at gold recently. Gold's sort of chilling. Is it going to get that next move up, or is it just going to range here? I don't know. And equity, let's have a quick look at them. Yesterday they were down slightly, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, they were down 1% yesterday. And today, look, they are opening a bit higher. But if things or tensions do escalate or change in the Middle East, then this will change. S&P has lost its RSI in terms of its bearish cross. I do think the S&P has a short-term pullback. I don't know what catalyst or whatever creates this. I've just been guessing when I've been saying things for you guys. But just like, it's not a time to do anything rash. It's a time to DCA, put the rest of or like slowly put the rest of your chips on the table. If you think that we're going to go into a bull run after this, which is what I do think. And if you want to try and time the bottom with whatever you've got left, cool, but then just be aware that you might miss it. I think when we reverse to the upside, it's going to be pretty aggressive. Just as there's leverage below us, there's a lot of leverage above us and liquidity above us. So if we do start to get that break to the upside, we don't have to get the flush. If we do get that break to the upside, it's going to be an aggressive move. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for that. The end isn't here, in my opinion. And if you're worried about like World War III and the end of the world, then you got more to worry about than crypto. So like people say, oh, why are you investing? A lot of people say, why are you investing? We could be going into World War III. You shouldn't be thinking about crypto. There's nothing to think about there, in my opinion. If we go into World War III, crypto is the least of your concerns. So you may as well worry about crypto. Like, what else are you going to worry about? That we could get nuked tomorrow? We could, and I don't mean that in a blasé way. It's the sad truth of the world that we live in. So you may as well be focused on crypto. And if they say, oh yeah, but then your holdings will go to zero or could flush down massively, and it could be way more to worry about. If there's way more to worry about, I'll worry about that then. Because what's the point in worrying about it now? You're going to just leave yourself on the sideline trying to protect your capital in what? Dollars. Dollars might go, like, dollars might hyperinflate, for example. I'm not saying that they're going to, I'm just like, there's no good argument for anything if we go into a significant war here. And I don't think we will. My base case is that we won't, but it could get pretty close, and that's how the market could get scared. But yeah, I hope everyone's good. Touch some grass if you need to. I'm ready to touch some grass soon. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope you are all safe. Remember, use this time to make a plan. And I'm talking about make a plan for the future in terms of like when we go up as well, because just as easily as it is to get consumed by downside price action, you will have your vision tainted when we start to move to the upside. You will not have clarity because there will be euphoria. That's what I believe. So have clarity now of where you're going to be, what's going to be happening in 6 to 9 months time when we probably hit a peak. And before that, we could hit significant highs. And if you want to take some money off the table before that, then do. I will be. And imagine how you're going to feel when it's euphoric and you're hitting your price targets. Are you going to be able to stick to them? Do you know where you're going to rotate? Do you know what currency you're going to rotate into? Do you know if you're going to just hold stables? Do you know where you're going to find yield? Do you know if you're going to look for property? Where you're going to look? What different countries are going to outperform potentially in terms of currency? What assets can create a yield, like on-chain treasuries? Are you going to move off-chain? Are you going to then pay the tax implications, for example? That's all your decision. That's what you need to be thinking about right now, in my opinion. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, like, and let me know if you've got any questions in the comment section down below. Peace up, A-Town Down Crypto Insight UK would say.